into a new, fresh week of the Plant-Based Morning Show. Last bit of February. I'm getting a crazy echo going on, Doug, out of your speakers. Last bit of February. Here we are. If you're listening live, actually, no, if you're on Instagram or if you're on the podcast, I want you to remember that you can go to youtube.com/NoMeatAthlete to get the full best version of the show, the live experience. You get to interact, all that good stuff. Mr. Jeffrey's here bright and early. Good morning to you, Mr. Jeffrey. I'm adding Doug to Instagram. We'll see what he's up to. Special treat today also. It's whiteout conditions. No memo was sent, but Doug and I are both wearing white. I think it's the first day in the history of the show we've both worn white on the same day, which is cool. It's a good look. It's clean, fresh.
I know. I'm really feeling the white these days, Matt. The
white is good color. I was just thinking about that recently. That it might be my favorite color right now for just objects. Like if I'm gonna get a pen or I don't know, a hat. White is a nice color.
Yeah, as everybody knows, I'm normally a flannel guy, but I've been kind of leaning into the white a little bit. I got a new white sweatshirt, got this white shirt, and I like it. It feels good.
It's a bold move. It means you're committed to keeping your clothes clean, fresh. any dot would show, any mark. So you got,
which is actually the problem. Like, when I'm with the kids or whatever, I'm like, I find myself kind of be like, don't touch me. I just saw what you just touched with your hands. Right.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of a problem. So you have to be aware of that, I guess.
Yeah, it is. All right. People are putting, they missed the memo. I thought we got in front of this by saying it, but apparently that doesn't work when people come just a minute or two late. They're writing about the white memo. So yes, Doug and I both wore white today. All right, good. So, let's see. I have only a quick thing. I made a good dinner last night from Serious Eats, and I even am going to share the link. Another perk of being in the live show, you get access to these links. It was fava beans, and I've never made it before. It's called full medames. I don't know how to say that. It's an Egyptian dish, which I figured would go well with Greek things, and they even recommended a tomato and cucumber salad, which I also made. They linked to that. So it was a nice little weeknight dinner. Considering I've had trouble getting good dinners on the table recently on weeknights, felt like a big victory to make something. It was actually very, very quick to come together meal because I'd already made the fava beans, of course, Doug, over the weekend in a pot, like I typically would make beans on the weekend.
Of course, you'd always make them fresh in a pot.
Would always.
Never from a can.
Nope, snobbery, complete bean snobbery.
I had white bean pasta dish last night as well. White bean pasta with spinach and tomatoes, a little bit of oil. It was very good.
That is good. White beans are really good. Mm-hmm. Speaking of white, there you go.
Speaking of white beans, white shirts, Mr. Allie points out that it's not a great color for pizza or tacos, which is a problem because those are my two favorite foods. But,
I spill food on any shirt I will wear. It used to be just like if it was a brand new thing, I would do it. But now it's if anything's out of the wash, fresh, and then now it's just anything. I just always spill food. Like especially cooking, I just can't not get like an oil splash onto my shirts. So I just soak them in the sink and then that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. There's nothing worse than getting an oil stain on a shirt that you can't get out.
No,
or pants. A pair of pants is even
disheartening.
Worse.
Yeah. Because at least for me, I don't make a whole lot of effort with the clothes. And when I finally do and I get a nice new shirt or something, it's just, I just hate that feeling.
Here's a plug for No Meat Athlete Radio. Justin Kerner says, I just listened to NMA Radio episode before this, and I'm on Team Camp Beans.
That's right. There was a small debate on there about that. The bigger debate was about alcohol or not alcohol. And that had followed up on the previous episode on the Outlier Health podcast, which is what this show is a part of that new feed, where Matt Tolman and I discussed if alcohol has any place in a healthy lifestyle. And, I don't know. It was polarizing. People left comments on the YouTube thing saying, Matt, Frazier, go back, listen to yourself, listen to these rationalizations you're making. Like it was like an intervention situation. So
really?
I feel like I maybe gave the wrong vibe by being on the
No Meat Athlete Radio episode. Like in the comment?
They posted on the YouTube video, whatever YouTube video came after that, they posted on that and said, I listened to the NMA podcast episode because that one's not a video. So they were so moved they had to go to YouTube and post. So anyway,
Wow.
I wondered. I guess I gave a strong impression.
I gotta listen to this.
I guess. I don't know. I was just citing the blue zones. The blue zones people, they're happy, they're healthy, they have a little bit of alcohol in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough evidence for me to say this doesn't scare me. That this small amount. I know too much, obviously bad. Anyway, moving on. People don't like when we talk about alcohol, it seems.
Yeah. Someone always comments about it. I got something that I listened to today that I heard that it was kind of interesting. So I was in the car on the way to drop Eliza off at school. We were, doing our little thing through the radio, trying to find a good Taylor Swift song.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the talk radio hosts was talking about, they were having a debate they were talking about, all right, there's two women. They were talking about their husbands snoring and how annoying it is and how it keeps them up at night. And then one of them said, well, there's new research out that if you eat a healthy plant-based diet, which is something we covered, then you'll snore less. I forget what the stats are, but you'll snore less sleep apnea, all the stuff. We talked about it maybe last Thursday.
Sometime around then. Yeah.
And she said it, and then the other one just started laughing and was like, oh, my husband's the kind of guy who throws butter on a Pop-Tart. And then the other one joked and said, yeah, there's no way I'm convincing my husband to go plant-based. And they kind of laughed it off as like, oh, there's just no way that could ever happen.
Right.
We have this information and this is, right. Exactly. Like there's impossible that this could happen.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like it's probably what you'd expect, right? Especially on a morning talk show, morning radio show. But it just kind of was clear to me, it dawned on me that this is the problem, right? This is the big problem, is no matter how much research there is, no matter how much kind of positive, positive gains you can get from switching to a plant-based diet, like people are just going to laugh it off as like this impossible thing that they're not, that there's no way that they're going to do it. Like I'm not even going to talk to their husband about eating more plants or something like that and see if that helps. Right. Like, oh, it's just, we could never do that. And that's the problem. I think that's why it's so much more, it's so much easier to blame processed meats and say, oh, that's not going to do it, or processed vegan meats or whatever, or be attracted to a keto or a carnivore diet because they're more familiar with the foods, or it just sounds more inviting. And the plant-based diet is never going to win if this is the attitude that people have when they hear, a study that could help them sleep better and help their lives better.
Yeah, I mean, but those people aren't really necessarily wrong for that, right? Like
right.
If you haven't really considered it before, the idea of giving up all meat and all dairy and all eggs is that is extreme, right? If it's just,
definitely,
it would have been for me 20 years ago. If you told me that was where I'd be, I'd say there's no way I'm ever going to do that. So I do understand where that comes from. I think the branding problem, I think the vegan diet needs to be rebranded, and I don't know if it ever will. A technological solution would fix it as well. If you just get the cultivated meat working, and you could have that a little bit, but see if you have too much of that, it's going to also ruin the effects.
I mean, you're not going to quit snoring if you're eating cultivated meat versus regular meat, right?
And I don't even know if that's true. If they made a super high tech plant based meat that wasn't cultivated, but somehow tasted just like the real thing, that's probably not going to be healthy either. So it's just not going to happen. I think we've said this forever. The plant forward diet, the flexitarian, Mediterranean, whatever, like that's probably what I think the limit of what people would do. A large number of people. So we need a better name for flexitarian. Like that, there needs to be something that means you eat meat sometimes when you really want it, but not all the time. But there's no name for that diet that I know of. I think people would say that's something to strive for.
Coolitarian.
That'd be good.
Gnarlytarian.
Yeah, because then it sounds like it's awesome. I like that.
Yeah. Just great. good positive spit on it.
Well,
Jeffrey asks, what is it with American men that insist that what you eat changes your manhood, or obsession with manhood in general? Is that an American thing? I mean, obviously it is, to some degree, but like, if that was the case, then I mean, if it was just an American thing, then I think more men abroad would be vegan than they are.
Yeah, and maybe there are more abroad, but I don't know. I didn't realize that was an American thing, but I don't know. So what is it with us, Doug, that makes us insist that? I don't know.
We just get told bacon, you got to eat your bacon. Got to eat your steak. It's like, I don't know. I mean, the whole act of cooking meat, men stay out of the kitchen except when they're grilling, right? Like that's kind of the thing that we're taught, right? And grilling involves meat and bacon.
And that's kind of an American. I mean, I guess obviously other people grill, but who knows? Good question. I've never really thought about that as an American thing, but who knows? All right. Garuda Legend says hello 3 times. Hello to Garuda Legends. Good to see you back in the Plant-Based Morning Show. Leslie's watching us on the big screen while she rides her bike trainer. Leslie's always doing something. Can't just listen, drink a cup of coffee or something. Gotta be doing something. Doug just froze in a weird position.
Okay. No, it's like getting real big on the big screen.
Okay, well, it froze while you were doing that.
Oh, okay.
All right. And Big Media X Claus says, we've been pumped with ads for the last 40 years about how hamburgers and meat are manly. Yeah, I was thinking that sort of thing, that maybe it had been marketed as an American thing, that burgers and things, these are American foods, and we want to be American men. I don't know. Who knows? All right. Enough with that. On to the show, on to the real show. I forgot to get the noise machine set up, so maybe I can get that going while we're talking here. I guess we should jump into anything else, Doug, before we jump into this weather report.
No, I don't think so. Let's do it.
Okay. No sound. It looks like it's dead. All right. Here we go. Your weather report, Tuesday, February 27th. One more radio thing, Doug. I heard Taylor Swift's. I almost don't ever listen to the radio in the car, but I drive my daughter to the bus stop. When I go to the bus stop, it's literally like 300 yards away. But I drive there because I don't want to deal with anybody in the mornings when I have been up earlier than I should be up, and I just drive. But they were saying today that Taylor Swift's dad was in trouble for some sort of assault on a photographer.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear that bit?
I saw the headline.
I think they were celebrating the end of the tour on a yacht, and I assume alcohol involved. I don't know, but the camera people got too close to her, and security wasn't there, so he lashed out in some way. Anyway, I thought that's what you were going to tell me when you told me about the radio, but no. All right, on to the weather report. Here we go. Last year, no, it might have even been 2022. We talked about this I Could Never Go Vegan documentary, early days Plant-Based Morning Show, and we both said this doesn't seem like a winner. It's produced by Alicia Silverstone, and I think that's new. That was not her name wasn't involved, I don't think, back then. This thing didn't come out like it was supposed to in 2023. I thought they were going to air it at some sort of film festivals, and then no one heard anything. I Googled, can't really find anything about it. And now it's coming out finally. So I don't know what happened in the interim. They may have been working on Alicia Silverstone and got her. I'm not sure. But what they're doing here is talking about the perceived issues facing veganism, including fitness, aging, ethics, and the environment. And it's basically answering all the objections for why someone might raise about why they could never go vegan. So this might work perfectly for your radio co-host or radio host husband. We could tell him that maybe he says it's not manly enough for me, or it's too hard, or the foods I love are not on it. But anyway, what we said, at least I said this, I don't know if you did or not. I think you agreed that it's just not that exciting to watch a bunch of like answers to objections when only one of those is probably your objection. Like when there's a sales pitch, there's always the FAQ section, and you scan down and you find your FAQ objection, and then answers your problem. I don't know if anyone who's objects to the vegan diet for some reason is going to want to sit through a movie that goes down a list of all the objections and checks them off.
Maybe if your objection is addressed, then you hear all these other objections, and you're like, it just kind of solidifies.
Mm-hmm. But what if yours is at the end?
But if yours is at the end, then yeah, sure. I mean, should we watch the trailer? I can throw it up.
Put the trailer on.
All right, let's do it.
Roll a clip.
Roll clip. Ready?
I don't think many people grasp just how serious this is. All we see is what the industries want us to see.
We're talking about effectively the collapse of Earth systems.
Hello?
Hi, Mum. It's Tom. Just got a quick question for you. Why did you raise me not eating meat?
My name's Tom, and I've never eaten meat. But I can't seem to go a day without hearing from others about why they could never go vegan. Like vegans are malnourished. Climate change doesn't exist. Cheese, bacon, the food is bloody disgusting. B12, protein, animals are there for us to eat. Are these reasons justified? I need to know more.
I think there is this big misconception around you can't be vegan and strong.
What are you going to eat? You go gym, where are you going to get protein from?
I stood on the Olympic podium just 5 months shy of my 40th birthday.
I need to speak to the experts. Do you think the public have any idea what goes on in free-range farms?
In meat-eating cultures around the world, people learn to classify a small handful of animals as edible.
Like
issues to do with the use of other animals.
You get the idea. All right, so I mean, I think that my objection before is still rings true here, which is similar to what you were saying. Is that or my fear about this documentary is that you have the game changers that's like focused on the athlete and like addresses that pain point for people. Can you be fit and be a vegan, or is veganism going to make you even fitter, a better athlete? You have the climate change ones, Cowspiracy. You have the factory farming, animal rights stuff, and a number of videos, or documentaries. And so like trying to do all of it all in one tends to make it hard for people to get excited about, I think, because they might be excited about one and not the other, and it's just too many issues. So I mean that's my fear. But I kind of think this is good though. Like if you have somebody who is a skeptic and maybe has a couple objections, then let them watch the video or let them watch the doc, and maybe it'll kind of address a bunch of them. So I kind of like that this is taking a different approach and really talking about all the main objections, putting them all in one place, and trying to convince people that way. So I like it.
Yeah, it seemed kind of good. That was not that like an entertaining film, perhaps better than I thought based on the description. Mr. Jeffrey points out that perhaps it'll be a resource for vegans to be able to come back and people argue, and that probably is how these films take off. It's not from a bunch of carnivores saying we're going to flock to this film. It's that the vegans watch it and they tell people about it, and they share it with other vegans, and that's probably enough for a movie to be successful or a documentary to be successful. And then they obviously recommend it to people as well who aren't vegan. But yeah, it looks okay. I mean, that's not bad.
I don't think we got to the part in the preview there, but they addressed the free range farm
They mentioned
and how bad that is for animals, and what's considered free range, and I think like that kind of stuff is important for people to hear, because so many people, and I can't fault anybody for this, are like, yeah, I'm really intentional about trying to get free range meat, or to avoid some of the like traditionally factory farm stuff, but it's all terrible.
There's very little difference.
Yep,
good point. All right, Garuda says I am somewhat of a movie buff. I love learning new things about Garuda. Movie buff. I don't know why. Just like piecing together this picture of a life. I'm somewhat a movie buff. I will watch any vegan movie. I've seen Dominions, so that's surprising because Garuda is not vegan and vocally not vegan. Perhaps though it's due to his crush on Alicia Silverstone. She looks good nowadays, he says. And she's vegan. There you go. That's what a vegan diet gets you. She's been a long time. She's one of these celebs who is not just like flavor of the week diet.
Yeah.
Whatever. She's been a long time. All right. Good. So yeah, that seems all right. That doesn't seem like a bad movie.
Stevens, this looks good to me. I'll watch it. Britters. That's the thing. People don't do their research. I think free range is a place full of happy chickens.
Yeah. All right. They mentioned that Dr. Melanie Joy, who's I think an ethicist, writes some books. Dotsie Bausch, we heard her Olympic silver medalist. She talked a minute in that trailer. And then bunch of like Irish people, and I think that narrator guy is Irish. Dr. Alan Desmond, Dr. Gemma Newman. I don't know for sure that they're Irish, but they're from the UK. And the Happy Pair, all these people from UK. All right, good. So there you go. New movie to watch, and that comes out. I think it's like March 12th and 14th or something. No, April 19th is when it debuts across cinemas in UK and Ireland. So hopefully we'll be able to get it here somehow if it gets to Netflix or something. All right, next up, American Heart Association has published a study based on UK data. I don't know quite why that happened, but they did, and it's connecting the food environment that one, I guess, lives in with the likelihood of developing heart disease or heart failure. And it found that people who lived within a 1 kilometer distance of 11 or more ready-to-eat food outlets had a 16% greater risk of heart failure compared with those who had no ready-to-eat food outlets near their home. And then they found some more demographic things as well, like being close to gyms and other facilities. So that's kind of interesting that just being near a place is enough. And it's not really that surprising. I think not nowadays. I don't think, because I'm just like, there just aren't really any options to eat fast food, but that would have affected me a long before I was vegetarian and vegan. Like I think I did, if I had fast food within walking distance, I would have gone to it a lot more.
Mm-hmm. I'd say especially in a city, if you're like walking by places, home from work or home from school or whatever, you walk by a froyo place, you want to eat that froyo every day, you know?
Right. That's how it works. All right. Next up, a little bit of good news for the vegan world, I think. Unilever brand Breyers, who makes, those ice cream tubs that I think a lot of people used to buy when they were not vegan. They've launched a new lactose and cholesterol-free product made with animal-free whey protein. This is the protein from Perfect Day, and that is the company that does the precision fermented animal-free whey stuff. I thought Perfect Day had gone out of business, like California Performance Co. When I don't know, maybe Perfect Day is the parent company. I didn't think that they spun off their individual brands to focus on exactly this. So they got rid of Brave Robot ice cream, for example, but now they're partnering instead with Breyers. So now it appears that strategy is working because Breyers is a big time brand. They say it's identical to cow's whey, offering lower environmental impact. No claims about health improvements because it probably wouldn't be any. It's a molecularly equivalent molecule that they are making without animal products. I was wondering just from this article from Vegconomist if it actually was vegan or not, because just because they're using the whey protein doesn't mean that they wouldn't also include casein or regular milk or whatever. But no, it doesn't say vegan, but the link to the website says something about without animals or animal-free ice cream or something like that. So they don't say vegan, but they definitely say animal-free.
I'm looking at the Breyers website right now. They have carb conscious, gluten-free, lactose-free, non-dairy, GMO, no sugar added. They have several different variations of ice cream.
That is a lot of health things. And there's also non-dairy with oat milk. So this is now. So I guess you can't call the Perfect Day non-dairy. That's because it is. It still will cause a dairy reaction in somebody. Not lactose because it doesn't have that. But if you're sensitive to dairy for certain reasons, this will still set you off potentially. So
who's going to be excited about this? Who's going to be excited about animal-free whey ice cream?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the vegans would probably. But people, I think it's a little bit of a hump to get over with trying this stuff. People at first say, I don't want this. It's too similar to the real thing. Makes my stomach upset. But yeah, a good question. I don't know. Well, people who because you're not getting a health benefit from it. So you get cruelty and you get environment benefits. And that's good. I mean, cruelty freeness and environmental. But yeah, good question. Who will be excited about this?
Because it'll probably be more expensive, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine. And it just it's competing with all these other Breyers brands, aside from all the other ice cream brands, for the shelf space. So who knows where they'll sell it or to who? Good point. All right, Garuda says, why do scientists really believe I will eat their lab food when anyone can put it under a microscope and prove it is not identical? I don't know if that's the case here. I think under the microscope, that's what it means, that it is identical. It doesn't mean to me yet that it's just as healthy or, comes without risks because it's a different process that's brand new. But I don't know. I think when it's molecularly equivalent, it actually is going to be identical. Kelly K's had the oat milk version. It's good, but a little too sweet. All right, good. So that's the Breyers news. Good though. I mean, we hear all this stuff about vegan market shrinking, but this is good. Okay. Mayor of UK city of, I guess it's Worcester. It's not Worcester, is it? Doug, Worcester. Wish Stephen was here. He could tell us.
Worcester.
I think it's Worcester.
Worcester.
Announced that meat will no longer be served at council receptions, which are held in the mayor's parlor after long meetings to offer refreshments to councilors. Yeah, he said he wants to raise awareness of the lower carbon footprint of plant-based diets. Of course, it's attracted protest from one conservative councilor who said, Alan Amos is his name, and he said that the decision was discriminatory against meat eaters, went against the council's equality and diversity policy. So that's not good. But I had to wonder, Doug, why hasn't Black Mountain done anything like this? I mean, this is a simple change to enact for a city that I think prides itself on being eco-friendly and progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Has this been discussed?
Well, because we don't have council receptions.
You have no events for your little group?
Oh, yeah.
Inner circle meetings?
We do have events.
There's food?
Yeah. I don't know. Could be. I could push for it.
You could.
Maybe I should.
Will you?
Maybe.
You ever push for anything like halfway controversial, or you just kind of keep it close? Don't want to.
Oh yeah, no. There's plenty of people who think I'm a controversial.
Oh yeah. What?
Yeah.
Tell me something. Tell me a nice controversial thing.
No. We're not getting into. We're not getting into all that stuff right now.
All right.
But I have not pushed for anything vegan. I will say that.
Okay.
But plenty of environmental stuff.
Yeah, that's good. I'm not sure that you should push for something vegan. I think that might make it hard to get reelected. So. All right, people saying it's Worcester. Mr. Jeffrey says no cholesterol is a good selling point for some, I'm sure. So that's a good point. You can make
That is a good point.
But I mean, couldn't they just? I guess I don't know. Does regular skim milk have cholesterol in it? Because this whey doesn't have fat in it. It's just whey protein. I mean, maybe there's a small amount, but like whey. I mean, they're getting the fat from somewhere, and I would think that they. I don't know. Who knows? I guess it's all plant ingredients, so there's no cholesterol. Yeah, maybe people will care about that.
Scott says that his local stores just started carrying Bored Cow, which is the milk made with Perfect Days process. Huh.
Oh, okay. And they just started. So that's, I don't know if Bored Cow is their brand, Perfect Days, or if it's some new one that they've partnered with. But that is news to me. So I'll check that out. All right, good. And lastly, South Korea's Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, the KFDA, sounds like a West Coast radio station, has announced that it has opened an application process for the approval of cultivated meat after implementing cultivated food regulations. So that's kind of cool that they are welcoming that, looking for that, and I think that's good. I think Asia and protein is going to be an issue unless they come up with ways that use less land to make it. So that'll be good. Okay, there we go. There's your weather report. That's the news. Satisfied, Doug? Off to a good start the week so far?
Yeah, pretty good. Usually those Tuesday episodes, though, are jam-packed with hard-hitting weather reports.
Yes, there wasn't a lot, but there is this news that we've got to talk about now is more hard-hitting.
All right. Well,
2 articles today. We got 2. One of them is rather quick, and the headline caught my attention from the Independent, UK publication, says health warning issued for vegan cheese as government urged to act. So right away, something seems amiss there because I thought the health warning meant that the government was acting. And then it turns out that they're being urged to act by a group that has issued the warning and wants the government to do something. It's about how much salt is in your cheese. It's actually not all about vegan cheese. They found that, as the Daily Mail put it, some brands of cheese have 5 times saltier than a portion of McDonald's fries. They say how cheese can be 5 times saltier, and supposedly healthy vegan ones are the worst offenders. So that is sort of the what steals the show here is that the vegan ones have like 10% more in general than regular cheddar, 10% more salt, I guess 10% more sodium. And that's the news when they have supposedly this health halo where people assume they are healthier, but they have just as much saturated fat in many cases and more sodium. So that ends up being the story. But it's true of the cheese in general. And they're talking about brand cheeses versus store brand cheeses and saying brand name cheeses tend to have more sodium, but that it's a bad thing. They don't like the sodium and they want the government to act.
The The study was done by a group called, what were they called? Like salt-free.
Right. Yeah.
Action on salt. Yeah, this is an anti-salt lobby here, which I didn't know there was such a thing. But
right, where's that at? Where are they getting like funding? I wonder. Like who would be so passionate about that? Because it's not like it's a vegan or non-vegan thing, right? They're calling out all the cheeses here, and they're saying the vegan ones are the worst. So it's not like it's a vegan group who's saying cheese is bad. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe people who really believe it is behind a lot of health issues, which perhaps it is. I mean, definitely it is.
But the I mean, so you shared two links, two different, so Daily Mail and then the Independent, and both of them, the headlines are about the vegan cheese, which I mean, I guess is true. I mean, it is 100% true that the of the ones they studied, the vegan cheese were the worst or had the most sodium. But really, I mean, the study seems to be calling out everybody, and so just an opportunity for people to
that's what
jump
it is.
on the vegan train.
Right. I mean, if the salt content is way higher than potato chips or McDonald's fries, and it just so happens that the vegan brands are 10% higher than that, but we're talking about 5 times the amount of salt as McDonald's fries, then it's a cheese problem, not a vegan cheese problem. I'm not here to say that the vegan cheese is healthy, because it's certainly not, and maybe worse than the regular cheeses. I don't really know. But yeah, I mean, they just kind of jumped on the vegan thing, of course, because that's what people do right now while the vegan things are kind of suffering. At the end of the health one, they made some comments here. The Action on Salt Committee, they said each gram per day reduction in population salt intake saves more than 4,000 premature deaths per year. And that's Department of Health and Social Care stat. But Action on Salt said that the level of salt in some of these products is simply unnecessary and completely undermines the work of some more responsible businesses. And they said the government do little to help the public in reducing their salt intake and should force the food industry to use much less salt in their products with strictly enforced target. Doug, what do you think? Should the government force food manufacturers to use less salt?
No.
No?
No.
But you love when the government forces people to do things.
Oh yeah, of course I do. I love good government overreach. No, just kidding. But no. I mean, you got to make your decisions. Of course, like this should be a consumer thing.
Yeah, the government can help educate for sure, and I think they're requiring of certain labeling laws, which, by the way, we might talk about tomorrow, because Chris Van Tulloken, the guy who wrote Ultra Processed People, is now advocating for that black octagon system where they put the big thing that has worked in, I think, Chile, that kind of labeling. So that's kind of an interesting thing that's happening now and potentially in the UK. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that's probably what the government's role is. Help people know that this has a ton of salt and that salt is bad for you. But yeah,
but like where do you stop with that? Because
right, I know it's hard.
Because I mean, not like like regular cheese, right? Probably has a few things that should get called out. And not just the salt, but maybe a lot of fat, maybe a lot of maybe it's ultra processed, depending on the cheese, maybe all kinds of issues, right? So like, is salt really the biggest offender to a big block of cheese?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I do think it's probably one that has a good chance of getting I don't think there's too many people who are huge fans of salt who are saying. Right. Whereas if you get the vegans fighting against the paleos or whatever, I feel like salt's more universal, and I don't think there's too much controversy that salt is bad for us. I know some people will say that it is, that it is fine for you. I've heard that before, and I think in small amounts, obviously, it's a natural thing. But I don't know. I think the science is probably more clear that large amounts of salt are bad, but I don't really know. It's a good question. Where do you stop? How do you draw the line when you're going to start labeling stuff? But I think we can get some stuff out of the data. I know some general big picture trends or big picture things that can help or hurt our health. And that's what that system is good for. All right.
Lots of comments here. I don't know if we want to go through all of them, but Kate Rivercat says there's definitely too much salt in the SAD diet, but government has has much bigger priorities. Vegan Stallion, I recommend Morton's light salt. Is a 50-50 blend of salt and potassium chloride. You literally can't tell the difference.
I can tell the difference. I don't like that stuff. We have 2 things of it in our pantry that no one's eating because we don't like it that much.
I've never
It's
had
also
it.
it's also not like potassium just suddenly just gets around whatever the problems are. Like it brings its own problems when you start consuming large amounts. Dr. Breyer has some stuff about that. So I'm not a huge fan, but it's worth trying. Like if you had to cut salt out of your diet or drastically cut it, that would be a decent substitute. But if that's not your goal, then yeah, I don't know. I'm sticking with the real thing.
Alex Turton asks, is anyone eating any form of cheese as a health food? It seems like a luxury item already rather than the common forms of sodium. I think people do eat cheese for health. Maybe not vegan cheese, but I think people
I don't know. Do people think it's healthy? I think they probably some do.
I mean, I think people eat like, I can picture family members having an apple slice with a little slice of cheese with it, having that be a healthy snack.
You're right. Good point. And I think I saw string cheese was in the list of the average salt and fat content of cheeses in the Daily Mail's article, and that was just behind plant-based. I think when parents give their kids a string cheese for their lunch, I think they think that's sort of a healthy snack they're giving, protein, milk.
Calcium. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess people do think of that as a health food. Yeah, and then Mr. Jeffrey says here, I feel like cheese isn't the right fight. It's needed for the cheese making process. Is it not? I think that's probably true, but I'm sure it also gets added a lot in sort of UPF fashion to get people to eat more and to sell more of it. Just a guess. It's like saying there's too much salt in pickles or soy sauce. The thing is, I think there is too much salt in those things, right? Like it's those are important. I mean, obviously it's essential to the process, but I mean, fermented foods are often criticized for being so salty. It is a problem why you don't want to eat too much of those things. And same with soy sauce. They may come with health benefits, but that's kind of a drawback that would prevent you from eating a whole lot of them.
Well, and they make low salt soy sauce.
Yeah, but it's not that much lower. It's like 1/3 less.
Oh, is it? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's something, but that's still salty.
So is there a lot of salt in pickles? I didn't know that.
I think, yeah, I mean, real ones that are fermented for sure. I don't know about like the fake ones, but yeah, I think so. All right, so there you go. There's your cheese update. It's not only vegan cheeses that are bad for you, it seems. And this one, here's our headliner, which I put in the title of the show to hope to get some YouTube clicks. So Doug, this better be the thumbnail of our YouTube video. The headline is from plantbasednews.org. The king of carnivore diet admits he doesn't know the long-term effects. So when I saw king in quotes, I figured this meant Liver King. But it's not. It's Sean Baker, whose name I do know, but not really very well. I don't follow any of those carnivore types. Anyway, he debated our friend Garth Davis on some sort of show. It was like a 2-hour-long debate. And I don't like debates. I didn't watch that at all. But I did watch this little clip from Dr. Matthew Nagra, I see him a lot. And he's got a little clip here. Doug, are you able to pull that one up and play that bit?
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah,
no
real rush. Yeah, and so what happened is they had this debate. The clip that Dr. Nagra shares is very short, and it's him basically saying, "No, I don't know the long-term effects of this. I don't know if it's going to help, prevent disease or actually increase the rate of it." And he sort of brushed past that, and then apparently at some other point, which I don't think this is in the clip, but Plant-Based News has it. They say that he says in the debate that social media is kind of for entertainment purposes only in many ways. And so the implication here is basically that he doesn't really know if this is healthy for the long term, but his social media has a bunch of things where he'll flash up, this Matthew Nagra flashes up a bunch of studies and things that this Sean Baker guy shares that kind of imply that it is healthy for the long term. And so they're saying, come on, like, how are you doing this? How are you irresponsibly telling people this is good for them and maybe even good for their long-term health when it's not, but they're going to listen to you and they're going to think it is. Like, how are you doing that? And he basically says this is for entertainment. I don't really expect people to implement this stuff or whatever. Which I guess you have to say that if you are caught in this situation. So I don't know. It's just, I mean, this, and the thing is, I'm sure influencers on the vegan side do the same thing. It's not only carnivores, but I don't know. This is a big problem with the influencer kind of world.
Definitely. I mean, we see it we see it across any of these. I mean, it's not just carnivores, right? I mean, it's any of these kind of health influencers. Of course, there are good ones too. Like, I'm not trying to say all influencers are bad, but just the like skewing information, misleading information, go outright lying, scare tactic stuff, just to get the clicks, just get the views and shares, and they don't. Honestly, most of them probably don't believe it. And I'm not saying this guy doesn't believe in his carnivore diet. He might, but there is risk in telling everybody to do this thing that is clearly untested and unstudied in the same way as most diets are.
Yeah, right. It is risky. And I mean, it's one thing to say this is really helpful for short-term health. And a lot of carnivores are reporting that. And I don't doubt that like you might get some health benefits when you switch over. And I think when you switch from one diet pattern to another, often some benefits appear right away, whereas some of the problems take longer to show up, like deficiencies and things. But whatever might have been missing from your diet, immediately rushes in when you change completely 180 degrees. And then I think you start feeling better. So I wouldn't doubt that people feel better or even have improved health in some way in the short term. But to sort of imply that in the long term, it's really healthy when you don't know that, that's kind of the problem for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Gregory Green says the signal to noise ratio on social media is terrible. The more extreme the diet, the more shady the info, and the more cult-like it appears. Definitely true.
Yeah, right. And I have thought about this a whole lot because we've been working on this book, and this is one of the topics that has been discussed a lot in it. And it's an overwhelming problem. Like the incentives are completely misaligned. It's a race to get clicks, and the more extreme stuff wins, and the stuff that is kind of time tested and proven, that's too boring to make it. It's just not going to reach most people's eyes in their feed. So it is a real problem. All right, Doug, can you play this thing?
Yep, let's do it.
Here's a clip from a recent debate between vegan doctor Garth Davis and carnivore doctor Sean Baker.
I don't know. I will say, I don't know if my diet is going to make somebody live longer. I don't know if it's going to either prevent or increase the likelihood of some disease, because we just don't have the data that shows that.
As one of the biggest proponents of a carnivore diet, Sean clearly states that he actually doesn't know if this is going to lead to good or poor health outcomes in the long term. I would argue that it's likely to increase risk of colorectal cancer and cardiovascular disease compared to many diets out there, just based on prior research on red meat. But what I really want to focus on here is that he still recommends it despite not even knowing if it'll be healthy in the long term. And he continuously puts out information like this, and this, and this, and this. I can keep going. Okay, I'll stop after this one. So he puts this out on social media, presumably to suggest that a carnivore diet may be healthy, or at the very least that red meat is unhealthy. But later in the debate suggests that his social media is just for entertainment.
It's one of your more recent videos here, and you don't need to go into like a full thing.
I'll just put the caveat,
but I am curious.
The social media is kind of for entertainment purposes only in many ways, but anyway, what am I saying here? I don't know.
But my big issue with that is that there's no way he doesn't know that people are going to take what he says and actually implement it into their lifestyle.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, exactly at the end there, right? That is the problem, right? He says this is for entertainment purposes, but like it sure doesn't look that way when you look at the social media stuff he's sharing. It seems like he's saying this is good for you, and he's a doctor. They're saying orthopedic doctor. Scott Mulholland says he thinks. So yeah, and Alex Certain says that changes things if he's a doctor, right? Then it becomes somehow more irresponsible to be giving this sort of health advice that now we're saying is just for entertainment purposes. Yeah. The thing is, though, here's the thing. I'm sure I didn't search for this. I would imagine, the carnivore crowd could find things that Dr. Garth Davis said and be picking that apart with their own articles and saying whatever that he admitted. Who knows? Perhaps, hopefully, it's not nearly as egregious as this, because I think Dr. Garth Davis is pretty smart and responsible. So here's the thing. I'm kind of happy this comes to light, and it's good to hear him admit this, because then it gets reason to write an article and spread this around. But like, what is newsworthy about this? We all knew that the carnivore diet didn't have any long-term data on it, good or bad, right? Because no one's studied. It's a brand new thing, and no one's tried to do this, at least not in the past thousands of years. So like, we already knew that nobody knows whether this is good or bad for you, and we already know that he's promoting this and saying things implying that maybe it is healthy in the long term. I mean, what's new? That he admits that he doesn't know it, that he doesn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it is new. I think it's just, I think it's shocking to say the quiet part out loud, right? That, this is the guy who is the author of literally the book called Carnivore Diet.
Mm-hmm.
And he's admitting publicly that he doesn't really know what it does to your long-term health. And that, that a lot of the stuff he puts out on Instagram is for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
only.
So that part is significant.
That's a pretty big admission, I think, and it's just, like you said, it's not new. Everybody knew that, or most people knew that, but I think that there are probably a lot of people who don't know that and who watch his stuff and think, well, here's this authoritative guy who has credentials and is telling me that it's healthy and it's good, and I'm going to listen to him because it works for whatever narrative I'm telling myself.
Yep. Agreed. Couple comments here. Garuda Legends says the oldest people to live are meat eaters on an omnivore diet. I don't see his point as a vegan doctor other than to gaslight other vegans thinking they can live longer than meat eaters. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. The fact that the oldest people to live do eat omnivorous diets, but they eat really small amounts of meats. If you look, talking about the Blue Zones cultures, very low amounts of meats compared to even a typical American, much less a carnivore who's eating only meat and shunning the plant foods. Which, how do they avoid scurvy? Because I think you get that if you don't eat vitamin C. I don't understand how. Maybe they take multivitamins or something, or maybe that takes a few years to come and it just hasn't really yet. I don't know. Let's see. Mr. Jeffrey says that he's covering his butt legally while taking advantage of the fanfare. I think Dr. Matt Frazier, MD, should make an official statement. Should I put on? I got the white coat on today. Should I make such a statement? Or should I
lab coat?
Should I make it clear that I'm not a medical doctor in any way?
I would probably make it clear that Matt Frazier is not a medical doctor, and that this is for entertainment purposes only.
Yes,
not health advice.
This is that for sure.
Gregory Green, the number of doctors on social media making speculative claims is a huge problem. Completely taints the profession from a public point of view.
Yep. And this, I like this quote from Garuda Legends. It says, carnivore doctors and vegan doctors are both delusional. People on an omnivore diet is the healthiest and will always live longer, staying away from processed food. I don't know about the second part, maybe, but I'm not going to say that all the doctors are delusional, obviously, who promote vegan diets or maybe even carnivore diets. I don't know much about it. But people who are influencers of the extremes, you get a whole lot of people who are maybe they do understand exactly what's going on, but their incentives are the wrong ones. They're doing stuff for attention, and the stuff that gets attention is the most extreme. So you get pushed to these poles, and that's what happens. So I've been saying that for a while. That I think I like the Blue Zones thing. I think it's good. I think a lot of people can do that, and if you don't have the ethical thing that's making you want to not eat animals, that seems like, as you said at the beginning of the show, that seems like a diet people could come around on. Even the radio host's husband, you still get to have some of your meat a couple times a week or whatever, but not all the time.
Can you put your butter on your Pop-Tart?
No, can't do that. But you can't eat that on a carnivore diet either. Obviously, that's no Pop-Tart.
I didn't know that grown-ups still ate Pop-Tarts. That was the bigger surprise to me. That was the bigger surprise to me
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, I mean, that's why vegan was out of the question to someone like that. I mean, it's just...
Mr. Jeffrey says, funny enough, eating nearly raw meat can prevent scurvy. So there you go. That's why they don't.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
And I love this quote from Breyer. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on social media. I think that
that
perfectly sums up this show. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. All right. All right. Well, that's good. I think lively show today. I like the topic. That's it, I guess. Anything else, Doug, before we pause till tomorrow?
No, thanks everybody for coming. Great attendance today live.
Hey, we're at 31 people right now on the
we
live.
were at
That's
34
good.
or something earlier.
Oh, really? Fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Smash that like button. Leave a comment. Head over to Outlier Health Podcast on all of your podcast platforms. Subscribe, leave us a review, all that stuff. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.
By the way, you can tell Alexa to play the Outlier Health podcast now, and it'll do it. It'll give you this.
Ooh, there you go.
Yep, very good. All right, again, smash the like button. Look, we made the title "Carnivore King Admits to Unknown Risk" or something like that. So if you smash the like button, that message gets out there. The carnivores will show up. They'll debate in the comments, but at least we get this get the headline out there. It's a good thing. Good thing for the plant-based people. Garuda's not going to be smashing the like button, I don't think, today. But anyway,
I don't think so either.
But anyway, we like you showing up, Garuda. So please keep on coming and commenting. All right, have a good day, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow.
See ya.